Hi guys, this is Leela. Welcome to my channel Leela WebDev. In this video, we will see about the default parameters that are available in the Docker engine. So I am switching on the Ubuntu server. So double click on this one. Automatically the Docker engine or the Ubuntu server will start up. So let's wait for some time powering the VM up. But I will be not using this VirtualBox system. So I will be going through the SSH thing. And I have explained you about that how to install the SSH and NAT gateway, how we can connect externally through the virtual machine. So I have shown you. So that one you can take a look at our previous videos. Now we have also successfully installed the Docker engine also in our Ubuntu server. And now we need to check the default parameters that are available in the Docker engine. And also we will check whether the Docker has been successfully installed in our system or not. So I will try to show you. So now the Ubuntu server has started. So let's go into here. I will minimize this one also. I will maximize this one. And here I am connecting to the Docker engine. So here, the Docker host machine. That is nothing but the Ubuntu server. So 222, right? Test user @localhost. So that's it. Now let's try to press enter. Automatically it will ask the password, that is nothing but test1234. So now it has successfully connected to this one. So now when I go here, now what we need to check, so whether if you want, so right now it has been logged in as a test user, so that means it is a sudo user. So if you want to check that it is a sudo user or not, means su-l, I think. So test1234, sorry, that is not the password, sudo-l. So if you type test1234, you will be able to see that this guy is a sudo user and it has all the permissions. So test user can run the following commands on the Docker server. All the commands he can run it. So that means he is a sudo user. So fine, test user is a sudo user. Now if you want to log in with a root user, means then you need to type su-i. I didn't remember exactly sui. So sudo-i. I didn't remember exactly how to log in with the root user. Yeah, so sudo-i, then that su means it's a switch user, so substitute user or switch user. So fine, sudo-i means, so we'll log in with a root user. So if you want to come out, means then what you need to do, so you can use the exit. Automatically you can come out of this one. So now this is the main thing. So these are all the things we have already covered in our previous Linux commands tutorial. So you can, for more details, you can take a look at that one. Now what we need to do, first we need to verify whether the Docker package has been successfully installed in our system or not. So in order to check this one, so what we can do it is, we can use the command something like dpkg, okay, and Debian packages. In this one we can check -l, and if you press enter, so you'll be able to see lot more packages that are available in this one. So I don't want to check in this one. So here what I can do it is, so here I will try to search it, grep docker, okay, docker-ce, or docker also you can do it. Now here you will be able to see the docker-ce, docker-ce-cli, docker-ce-rootless extras. So these are all the things that has been installed. If you are able to see here, I is there, II is there. So that means it is nothing but okay installed. So that means if I is there, means it has been installed. So the docker-ce has been successfully installed. If you want to check for the container D, so you can write the same thing and you can write it here, container D. So this container D is one of the package which is useful for creating the containers. So we'll try to learn about these containers also. So just I am showing you that, so this container also has been successfully installed. So the last one which we have installed using the while installing the Docker engine is Docker Compose. So if you want to check it, so here you can write have something like docker-compose. Now you'll be able to see that Docker Compose plugin is also successfully installed. So this is one way in the server point of view in order to check whether the Docker has been successfully installed or not. So through the client perspective also we can check. If you want to confirm from the docker CLI command from there means then you can use something like docker hyphen version. So it will give you the current version, the current docker version that has been installed, that is nothing but 26.1.2. so this is the way how we can check the docker whether it is installed or not. We can also see using the command another one, something like docker info. So these command give you the complete information related to the docker. So if you press enter, so it will try to give you the details, but here you will be able to see that permission has been denied while trying to connect to the docker daemon, that is where run docker.sock. so this one, the permission we don't have for the test user. We know that this guy is a sudo user, so you can do the same thing using sudo docker info. So I will try to explain you how we can run this docker info without using the sudo command also. I will try to show you. First let's try to see the information related to the docker. If I press enter, so here you will be able to see the lot more details. Let's try to go one by one. The first one is the information related to the docker client. I told you about the docker client, right? So the docker client means it is nothing but which will connect to the docker server. Whatever the commands you are trying to write it, you will write it in the docker client, and the docker client will connect to the server and it will execute those commands. So that's the thing. So here you'll be able to see the version of the docker client, and the debug mode is for false, and what are the plugins that has been installed, and where is the plugins, the path of this one, and it is also showing the docker compose. So where this docker compose is there, and it is showing the version of the docker compose and the path where it is located. So this is all related to the client information. And if you come here, you will be able to see about the server. Server means it is nothing but a docker engine, and how many containers has been created. Right now it is a fresh installation of the docker engine, so we haven't created any containers. So that is the reason we are having 0 containers. So we will try to create the containers in the upcoming videos. First, at the starting, if you try to see the docker info, so here you will be able to see what are the total number of containers that has been created. If it is created means how many are running, how many are paused, and how many are stopped. So you can able to see the details of all the containers. And here you will be able to see the images also as 0. So think of these containers as the application and images as an ISO. So for example, think of this container. So for example, if you want to install any application or anything means you need to have an ISO image, right? For example, let's say that you want to install a Ubuntu server. So Ubuntu server means you need to have an ISO image. So that is nothing but an image, and installing the Ubuntu server is a container. So if you want to create a container or create an install the container means then you need to have an image. So that is the thing which I want to explain you. So the images which we are having is also 0. And the docker server version is 26.1.2, and the storage driver it is using is overlay 2. So these are all the different types where these are the different configurations that are available. Login driver JSON file. So how the logging will be happen is in the JSON file, and the C group driver, C group versions, and here you will be able to see the network and the log. So default runtime is the run C, and you will be able to see the container D version and security options, kernel version, and here this is all about the Linux, the host machine what you are having. So about the Linux Ubuntu server which we are having. So kernel version and the operating system and the OS type, architecture, these are all the things you'll be having. So whenever I tell about the Docker host machine means it is nothing but this Ubuntu server. So the Docker host machine means nothing but where in which host machine the Docker has been installed. So that is called as a Docker host machine. So don't confuse when I tell Docker host machine means it's something else. So the Docker host machine is nothing but this Ubuntu server. Why? Because in this Ubuntu server only the Docker has been installed. Then we can call it as a Docker host machine. And the Docker root directory. So this is also one of the important thing. If you try to see, the Docker root directory is available in /var/lib/docker. So whatever the things all available in the creation or whatever the things we are creating or installing in the Docker means it will be created here in the var/lib/docker. So if you try to check this Docker thing, so then you will be able to see. So for example, ls-l/var/lib/docker. If you try to check it, so we don't have any permission for this one. So let's try to log in within root so that we can able to have it. So now here I want to check ls-l, okay, /var/lib/docker. If I try to show you, So these all the things have been created by the user root, and the group owner is also a root. And here you will be able to see these are all the directories that has been created automatically. So whatever the things you are creating, those all the things will be segregated here. So if your volume, swarm, runtimes, plugins, and the containers and the images, network, build kit, everything whichever you will be creating, the plugins and all the things will be segregated and will be arranged according to its directory. So that is all about the Docker thing. So now what is the thing we have observed is, so right now whichever the thing we are trying to do, so if you log in with the root user, we are able to get it. So that means the normal user cannot able to execute the Docker. So for example, let's say that I went back to the test user. So this is the normal user, but you know that this is sudo user. Now normal user cannot execute the Docker commands. So for example, if I try to execute the Docker, we are able to get it. But here if I try to use the Docker info, I am not able to get it. Why? Because the permission is denied. Okay. So that means here this all depends on the requirement. So if you want to run it with a sudo permission means, then you can able to write, you can able to work. So but here the requirements matter. So if you want the normal user also able to execute the Docker commands means, so then you need to add that normal user into a group. So that is nothing but a Docker group. For example, if you check this all the groups list, so cat all the groups will be available in cat/etc/group. Okay, so these are all the groups which are available. So here you will be able to see all the list of all the groups available in this one. Here you will be able to see Docker is available. So if you want to search it, grep Docker. Okay, so if you try to check here Docker, this is the group which has been created, and this is the Docker ID. Sorry, group ID. So Docker is a group. So this is not a user. So if you try to check in the user also, so users all will be present in the password, and you can search for the Docker user. So whether the Docker user is available or not. So it is not available. So that means only a Docker user is there, and you will be able to see it, right? So whenever you are trying to do Docker info, so it is telling that permission is denied, and it should be something like var/run/docker.sock. And if you try to check the permission for this one, ls-l/var/run/docker.sock, right? Docker.sock means you'll be able to see that the owner belongs to this one is a root, and the group belongs to a Docker. So now whenever you are trying to run the command docker info or docker anything means, then it is trying to execute the file docker.sock, which belongs to a group of Docker. So that means when you add this user, test user, to the group of Docker, then automatically so the test user can able to execute this one. Why? Because the owner has a read write permission, and also the Docker has also group also has a read write permission. Fine. So let's try to add the test user to the Docker group. So for adding the test user to the Docker group, so we already know the command, that is nothing but, so let's move on to the root here. So we know the command usermod, and we need to append the groups. Already if the test user he belongs to some other groups means, we'll keep the groups like that only, and we are appending a new group. So that G means group, and what is the group we are trying to add? Docker, and that is nothing but test user. To which user? Test user. Now if you press enter, automatically test user will be added. Now here if you try to see, you can check whether the user is added to the group or not means, you can check cat/etc/group, and you can search for grep Docker. Now if you press enter, now see this is the Docker is the group, and this is the group ID, and here these are the users which are available, which have been added to this group Docker. Now the test user has been added to the group Docker. Now the test user belongs to a group of Docker. Now if test user belongs to a group of Docker, right? So now he can able to execute the run the what I can say docker.sock file. So now let's try to run this one. So here let's try to execute, and I am back to the test user, and here what I will try to do is I will run the docker info. Let's see docker info, and if you try to see here, so still we are not able to access it. Why? Because maybe so we need to restart the server, I think Docker service, or we need to restart the Docker service in order to check the status of this Docker. So what you need to do it is sudo -i. Let's go here, and in order to check the status of this Docker means systemctl status docker, and if you try to see here, this has been started 13 minutes ago, and it is active and it is running. So Docker has been created here. So 30 minutes ago it has been started. Why? Because so we just now we have started the virtual machine, right? So at the time only 30 minutes ago it has been started. So now, so this is active and running. So what I need to do is I need to restart this Docker service. So in order to restart this Docker service, so what you will try to do it is, so let's try to go here and systemctl restart the Docker. Let's see. So restart the Docker. So Docker has been restarted. So let's see the status, and here you'll be able to see that has now previously it was 13 minutes ago. Now it is 2 seconds ago. So that means the Docker has been restarted 2 seconds ago. Now let's try to reboot the system. So here if I go back, not reboot the system. So let's try to check whether we can able to get it or not. So I am going to exit, and here I will do docker info. Still I am not able to access this one. So if you try to check this group, whether the var/run/docker.sock, if it is available, the group means, so we are able to see that successfully the docker.sock belongs to the group of Docker only. So the only option what we have remaining is, so we need to reboot the system. So let's reboot the system. So test user doesn't have anything. So let's try to do it with a sudo reboot. Why? Because it's a sudo user. So automatically the system is getting rebooted. So here you will be able to see. So the Docker, our Docker Ubuntu server is restarting. So let's wait for some time. Let it restart. Then afterwards we will try to run the docker info with the test user. So now you should be able to execute the docker info command with the test user. So now the normal user also who belongs to the group of Docker can be able to execute the docker commands. So let's try to see this one. So now hopefully we are able to login in. Yeah, so it is asking the login, right? So now here I will go into this one, and the same thing like SSH, I am connecting to here, and it will ask me the password. Okay, test1234, and if I try to log in, yeah, so now I am able to log in. Now the test user, so let's try to run the docker info. So docker info. Now if you see here, now I am able to get all the details. Now the test user can able to execute the docker commands. So docker commands also he can able to execute. So if you try to see docker container, so sorry, docker, so here we are able to get these all the things, right? So these are all the commands which you will be able to see. So what is this one? So here docker images or docker ps, you will be able to see docker images. Docker images you will be able to see. So docker ps means it will give you all the current containers that are available. So like this you will be able to get. So that means now test user can able to access the docker commands also, docker CLI commands. So this is how these are all the parameters that are available in the Docker engine. So in the next video we will try to learn about what is a Docker container, and we will try to create a Docker container, first container in our Docker engine. Hope you understood about this concept. If you have any doubts or any suggestions, please post the comments below to this video. And if you like this video, please do support me by subscribing to my channel. Thank you.